What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to EP09. So we're going to start this one off with some very unfortunate news. After many were questioning if Nathan DeAsha would actually show up to the Olympia this year, as he has been qualified in the past and hasn't shown up, Nathan has recently reassured the fans that he will indeed be at this year's Olympia. And yesterday, at about 2 weeks out, Nathan did board a flight to Orlando to finish his preparations for the Olympia well in advance. So he was taking this show very seriously this year. But after touching down in Orlando, he presented his documentation to the United States Customs officer, and apparently, according to Customs, Nathan did not have the proper paperwork in place. Check out what he had to say about it here.
Well guys, what's going on? We're here in Florida in Customs, being sent home. We've died all this time, we've trained hard, and we get this far, and yes, we are denied to get in. So guys, they're saying basically, you know, the paperwork is wrong. I'm reassuring here, it's right. It's right, you know. Myself and so many other athletes out there are hating in regards to these visa issues. You know, this puts the food on our table, feeds our kids, you know, put our lives on the line. There has to be something that can happen. Somebody out there can help us. Somebody out there can do something.
So it seems at this point that Nathan will be returning to the UK, and he was officially denied entry to the United States of America. Now, a lot of people would probably say that this has something to do with Nathan's history with law enforcement, and I have no idea what his criminal status is, if he even has any. But if I was to guess, I would say that that is not a factor in this case. He wouldn't have even been allowed to even get to this point if he did have an issue like that. But either way, something did seem out of place, and you guys can go check out Nathan's entire explanation on his Instagram. But the fact of the matter is, unless Nathan can make a very quick turnaround and solve this paperwork issue, he will miss out on competing on the biggest stage in bodybuilding this year. So now, due to visa issues, we have Nathan being denied entry to the US. Beiruz Tabani has been in political limbo for 2 years now over this denied visa applications and appeals, and this is becoming a serious problem in the world of bodybuilding. Nathan did call on the IFBB or the Mr. Olympia to step in and do something about this. He actually suggested moving the Olympia overseas again, or to Canada, or, you know, any other country that anyone can gain access to, which the Olympia has taken place overseas in the past.
Whether Olympia needs to help us, or, you know, Olympia needs to move places and let everyone compete, because it's just not fair, man.
But yeah, either way, you guys, it is not looking good for Nathan DeAsha. So let me ask you guys, would you like to see the Olympia move overseas? I mean, look, even for a year or two, if that would allow the best in the world, all of the best in the world, to compete, until this political influence is less of a factor, maybe it's not a bad idea. Let me know in the comments below. But for now, we'll hope for the best for Nathan DeAsha. Alright, so next up, we have an update here from Quint Beastwood, and what we are looking at here is probably the most successful 2023 offseason of anyone in the IFBB. Quinton decided very early in the 2023 season to take the entire year away from the stage to really spend time filling out that gigantic frame, and it seems like the progress is really continuing. From a size perspective, Quinton looks like he'll be returning to the stage to be able to hang with any of the top names of the sport. He may have some more size to put on in the legs to really nail that balance between the upper and lower body, but as he shreds down and his waist gets tighter, the illusion of bodybuilding could work to his advantage. The thing is though, Quinton maintained a very respectable level of conditioning throughout his entire offseason, which is part of why I say he's had the most successful offseason that I've seen in 2023. And the year-long offseason is becoming more and more popular among athletes. Quinton is currently doing it, Regan Grimes just did it, we'll get to Regan in a minute here, James Hollingshead, Antoine Vaillant, Derek Lunsford did the same thing this year, and a year-long offseason does offer the potential opportunity for serious progress. But all of the top athletes and coaches out there will tell you, you need to take your offseason as seriously as your contest prep. And Quinton looks like he's done exactly that. His plan is to show up on the 2024 competitive scene and really make a serious statement. Based on what we're seeing right now, I think he's on track to do exactly that. Alright, next up, another competitor that had a very successful offseason, even though it wasn't a year-long offseason, is Michal Krizo. Now, everyone knows that Krizo has one of the most insane upper bodies in the game right now. The guy is just an absolute freak. I'd say him and Nick Walker will be battling it out for best arms in the IFBB at the Olympia, regardless of how they place. But, you know, I actually had a subscriber comment to one of my most recent videos, and you guys have been awesome in the comments section. You guys know that I love all the comments, and I try to get back to everybody, but look, I got a comment here about how Krizo has only shown a handful of leg training videos as compared to the upper body videos. Well, apparently Krizo actually watched my latest video, and he responded to that comment here. You guys can see, yeah, I don't train legs, bro. Obviously saying that with a sarcastic tone. But the question is, are the fans actually worried about Krizo not showing up with the wheels to crack that top 10? Now, if we look back at Krizo's competition history this year, we did see Krizo with a really good set of legs at the Pro Classic. But Krizo did actually post a shot of his quads here on his story at just over 2 weeks out. And yeah, the guy's got some crazy vascularity in the quads right now. He's really got crazy vascularity everywhere right now. But I do think that the legs look good in this shot. And I'm very confident that Krizo is going to bring the goods this year, even in the leg department. And my guess is that he's made improvements in the legs and the back shots. Now look, I will tell you guys right now, I do have Michal Krizo in my top 10. I would say that he's in even my top 8 at this point. He's done the work, he's made the improvements, he made the mistakes at last year's Olympia, and I think we're going to see a brand new version of Michal Krizo this year. Alright, so next up, we have an update here from Regan Grimes, and Regan is only 2 weeks away from his return to the Olympia stage. But you know, Regan is actually kind of a harder guy to place in this Olympia lineup. For sure, he has to show up absolutely peeled out of his mind. In the last 2 shows, he was decent in Italy at the Flex Pro, he was sharper at the Europa when he took home the win, but everyone in the bodybuilding world agreed at that time he really needs to sharpen up for the biggest stage in bodybuilding. Now, Regan is one of these guys that if he's going to make the top 10 this year, he's realistically going to be shooting for that 10th place spot. The competition is really just too insane to consider any higher placings for Regan, and especially now that Nathan might be out, I think it makes him that much more viable for that top 10 spot. But in this most recent update that he put up, this spot that he took this update, I saw this and I remember, I saw him doing an update in this exact same spot with this exact same lighting some time ago. So I looked back, and some of you guys might remember, it was when Regan actually announced that he joined the 300-pound club back in March of this year. So if we compare his latest update at 2 weeks out, even though Regan is presumably, 30 pounds lighter in the 2 weeks out update, he did report being 271 pounds at 6 weeks out for this Olympia prep. So with a roughly 30-pound difference, he actually does look bigger in the 2 week out update. And this is what elite level genetics and the proper plan can land you. And yes, of course, proper diet and supplementation is included in that, obviously. But the fact is, like I said, Regan does need to show up absolutely peeled. And he knows that, and he's suffering to get to that point. And yes, he is looking very well conditioned at this point. But a lot of people may not realize, the guy's actually dragging his ass out of bed for cardio at 3:30 in the morning to make it all happen. Now you guys show me any other bodybuilder out there that's doing that right now. And that, combined with what we're seeing right now, does make me have more confidence that we are finally going to see that peeled out of his mind version of Regan that we've been waiting for. As long as they nail the peak, Regan could come in and shock us all this year. So let me know in the comments below where you guys have Regan landing in this year's Olympia lineup.
Gotta want it.
Alright, so last up, you want to talk about bringing the shreds? Look no further than Derek Lunsford. At the 2 week out mark, Derek is absolutely, without a doubt, bringing a very conditioned package to that Olympia stage. Throughout the last week or so, we are seeing the striations through the chest and shoulders that we did not see from Derek at the 2022 Olympia. He has not sacrificed a single ounce of muscle to reach this level of conditioning. He still looks really full at this point out as well. Look, at this point, Derek is not only being predicted by the majority of the bodybuilding world to win the Olympia, but he's actually looking like Mr. Olympia. And besides the physique, the mindset for Derek is absolutely laser focused. You know, we talked about the mindset of Nick Walker in my last video and how some people have been questioning his mindset. And look, I've talked about Derek's mindset recently as well. But there has not been a single second where Derek's mindset has been in question. And like I was saying earlier about competitors taking full advantage of that year-long offseason, the goal for Derek has been clearly defined, and up to this point, perfectly executed. Bring your best, be at your best, gain the muscle mass, bring the conditioning, do whatever it takes, and take home that title. So with everything looking like it's going perfectly to plan, Derek is heading out to Orlando within the next week to have that extra time with Hani Rambod and really dial things in person. With only 2 weeks left until the final battle, are we looking at the future Mr. Olympia unfold right in front of us? Well, you guys let me know in the comments below. Anyway, that's it for me in this video, you guys. Thank you for tuning in to EP09. Be sure to like and subscribe.